Hey, Dad.
Hey, what?
Did you know Anchor distributes our podcast to Spotify and Apple Podcasts free of charge?
No way. Did you also know Anchor has everything you need to make a podcast, including tools and tips on how to grow your audience and fan base?
Yes! Anchor is the best way to start and grow your podcast for absolutely free. Make sure to check out Anchor and download the free Anchor app, or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Goodbye! Hello, wonderful people, and welcome back to another episode of The Roads Less Traveled. Now, today's episode is going to be a little different, and the first installment of a series we are dubbing Off Rhodes, where I and Gregory, or I and someone else, talk about whatever we want to talk about. And today's first Off Rhodes episode is actually featuring two wonderful people I love, very near and dear to my heart. Would you guys like to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
I am the more athletic, more good-looking sibling, Mckenna Rhodes.
Okay, and?
I am Aiden Rhodes.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so if...
And the smarter sibling, too.
Okay, calm down. Yes, so today I am joined by my wonderful siblings, Mckenna and Aiden. We have the full Rhodes trio with us today. And today's topic of discussion I just wanted to talk about is going to school during a global pandemic and what that looks like for each of us. Now, just to catch the audience up and people who are listening at home, I am a senior at Missouri State University this year, studying or pursuing a BFA in musical theater. Mckenna is a senior at Ozark High School, and Aiden is a freshman at, technically not the high school now, what is it?
Ozark Junior High.
Ozark Junior High, yes. Which are all very pretty pivotal moments in our academic career. So I just want to kind of get a general idea of what does it look like for you guys in the midst of this global pandemic? How are you? What does it look like?
Well, it's crazy that, half the time I walk into school, I have to go back to my car because I forget my mask.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of strict teachers that, they're just doing their job, but you get yelled at if it's not on your nose or you're not wearing it, period. And there's just a lot of stubborn kids that don't really want to accept that, and so they get told that a lot, and it can get really annoying. And I'm sure it's really frustrating for all the staff.
Yeah. It also is interesting. So are you both fully in classes, like in-person classes?
Yeah, so I go to school 5 days a week, just like normal. But some of my friends, like some of the girls on the volleyball team, they're at school for 2 days and then the rest of the week they're online, or they might just have a bunch of online classes and then they only go to school whenever they have a math class or something that they don't have online. So it varies for every student.
Yeah. Aiden, what does it kind of look like for you? Are you in all-person classes as well?
Yeah, I take all-person classes, and like McKenna said, there's also a lot of people that do a hybrid, is what we call it, where they take most of their core classes online and then do like electives in class or math class and seating.
Yeah.
But same thing with the masks. It's really difficult to like acclimate to having to wear a mask all the time, 24/7.
Yeah.
And then there's those stubborn kids that don't really want to wear one and get in trouble for it.
So what does that kind of look like? What is the, punishment for being caught without a mask at school?
Well, I know it hasn't happened yet, but in several of my classes there's just been like threats to get sent to the office or that kind of thing, just because they're not going to stand for the chance of students having to go home because someone won't put a mask on, and then if they test positive, everyone that sits around them has to be quarantined. So
yeah.
I think not everyone just wants to think about everyone else. They just want to think about themselves. But I get it, because it can be annoying just having to wear that all the time. I've gotten used to it because it's been so long, but some people still just don't like to wear them, I guess.
Yeah. It's interesting because, so obviously me being in university, it's kind of a little different also with my degree track. People probably at home are wondering, how do you do theater online? Good question. So a lot of my classes are, in fact, over Zoom. I have 2/2.5 technically in-person classes. One is a costume construction class where I'm learning to sew and create costumes and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Another one is a tap class. We obviously tap dance in that class. And then my third kind of hybrid-ish class is my New York Showcase class that is kind of doing a hybrid of half online, half in person, where we are showcasing songs for each other and showing our packages for New York Showcase. So it's kind of just different and interesting to see like the repercussions of people not wearing masks, because people on campus who are not wearing masks, there's no necessarily higher authority or power to tell them to go put a mask on. Right. Other than people, fellow students and faculty just telling them to put a mask on for the common decency of other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I find that really interesting. McKenna, what is it kind of like being a senior, this being your last year in high school during all this?
It's kind of weird. Like, a lot of stuff is getting moved up because people are afraid that we're going to get canceled or be out of school and we won't get to do our things like have graduation or project grad or senior night in sports. Like, I know my senior night for volleyball was several weeks ago and we hadn't even played like 5 games yet. So it doesn't feel real almost, just because, they want to make sure that we have all those senior moments, I guess.
Yeah.
But they move it up super early, so it doesn't really feel like all those last times because we haven't been canceled yet, so it feels like we're still going to get those moments.
Yeah. I feel like I can kind of agree with that in the sense of like these last 3 years, senior year of college showcasing in New York and LA was something that we all looked forward to and all wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And it is still going to happen. It is just going to be under very different circumstances now in the spring semester. We will not be traveling to New York or LA to actually showcase. It will be filmed live.
Right.
So it is sad, and it is a give and take. And there's only so much we can do about all of it. Mm-hmm. Aiden, what is it kind of like, would you say, being a freshman, entering, technically your first high school years of high school? I know you're still at the junior high technically, but what is that kind of looking like? And yeah.
So I think the freshmen got it a bit easier because we're just now entering high school when all of this happens.
Yeah.
So it's not as bad for us because we have more years to be able to do stuff. But with the seniors, it's kind of difficult because this is their last year doing all of this, and it's getting canceled for a lot of it. But it's still pretty difficult trying to be a freshman with all of this happening because this is the year when all of your grades start counting for high school and college and all of that. So
yeah, I've kind of gotten ever since quarantine started and the pandemic really took full effect. I started journaling more, and I found myself kind of in a very in between, almost felt like a limbo place of like, what is real life anymore? Nothing exists. We live in a society. And I don't know if you guys can kind of relate to that, and just the sense of like, this is all so surreal, and this is gonna be, I keep telling myself this, and I'm trying to tell other people just to, make some sort of light of the situation, that this is a moment and it will pass, and mm-hmm. we will see normal days again. But I keep thinking about how like years from now when, we have kids, like we'll talk about this, and this will be a historical thing that we were a part of. I don't know, have any like thoughts like that kind of popped into your guys' heads?
Yeah, definitely. Like, in history class we study major events, and our teachers are always like, yeah, like, you're going to be talking about your history whenever you're older. And I'm like, okay, well, nothing has really happened. So there might be, like, small moments that people talk about, but nothing big. And then something like this hits, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is what we're going to be talking about for years and years to come.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even, I don't know, it's just weird. Like, you said, we're going to get back to normal days, but what even are normal days? Because it feels like it's been going on for so long. But it's hard to just, like, imagine, I don't know, going back to exactly the way it was, and I can't, it blows my mind when I think about the fact that, you know, in history, when there's been global pandemics or major events that happen, it goes on for years and years and years, and we feel like it's been such a long time, but it hasn't even been a full year yet.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine, like, having been in a situation like this in the past when it lasts for, like, 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. Well, and that's, unfortunately, I guess the truth of the matter that, it hasn't even been a year yet, but this is going to impact us years down the line.
Right.
Not only from, like, an economical standpoint, but psychological, emotional, physical, so many other things that we can't even, like, begin to even think about, are going to be caused and affected by this situation. I mean, even just the simple idea of having a vaccine ready, like, back in, I want to say March and April, when this was really starting and people were taking notice that this is going to be a thing. Oh my gosh, we're getting a call! It's okay. Is it? We're all good? No! Oh my god. I'm done. Sorry, folks. It's okay. Hopefully that wasn't important. Sorry, mother. But yeah, it's just interesting how this will be something that is impacted. I do find it interesting that you kind of said you felt like nothing big has kind of happened so far in your life, historical wise. I mean, I guess you could kind of argue that, but also that I feel like that kind of is maybe a very inner bubble thought idea.
Yeah.
Because there are tons of things always happening all over the world. Definitely in America.
I think when I think of big events, I'm thinking like MLK, the, you know,
9/11.
Rosa Parks, 9/11, things that last for years and years. And I think, you know, just because of the media and everything, things happen for a couple months at the most, and then we just stop talking about them. Even if they're still happening, we just stop talking about them. Yeah. And that's why I just think, like, not a lot of big things have happened. Obviously, things are happening all the time, and they are big and impactful. I don't know, it's the media, I guess, gets to me. No, yeah, I totally get that. And just kind of something already off the top of my head that I know is a big thing, is continuing to be a big thing was obviously the 2016 election and everything that has happened in the past 4 years with this country. And now the 2020 election is going to be even more important and more revolutionary in a sense, depending on whoever ends up winning, especially with the recent passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which is very sad to hear. But she was a wonderful woman and contributed so much to so many people, women and minorities of all different generations. I guess kind of not necessarily wrapping up, but just an open-ended question, I guess, to both of you would be, what, ever since quarantine has been happening, is there anything you have kind of picked up on, or a new hobby, or something that you have kind of done to just keep yourself at peace, not to necessarily drown in the existential crisis going around us right now? Well, I think one thing that I've definitely picked up on is, one thing I've always tried to do, but I guess it was hard to understand until this moment, was really appreciate everything. Like, you know, we say that and we learn it from our teachers and our parents to never take anything for granted, but it's hard, and you can say that you're going to do it and you can be thankful for all that you have, but then when it gets ripped away from you because of COVID, you're like, wow, that was so fast, and I didn't even expect it. And so, you know, every time I walk into the school or every time I step out onto the volleyball court, it really could be my last. Like, it could be the last time that I get to do that, because, you know, at any moment we could go back in quarantine. And I think that puts it into perspective more. So yeah, that's one thing I've picked on, definitely. Just don't take anything for granted and live in the moment and appreciate everything you have, because it can literally be ripped away at any second.
Yeah, very astute. Maybe you are the wise sibling. Just kidding, that was a joke.
No,
It was
I
a joke.
I am the wise one.
Okay, we
And
can't
the
all be
smart
wise?
one.
No, we can't all be
I'm the
wise.
smart one, the athletic one, the tallest one.
Okay, calm down.
The most
Height means
attract-
nothing. Okay, Aiden, what about
The
you?
most
Anything
one.
you've picked up on?
I am the most humble sibling too.
Shut up! Shut your mouth! Aiden.
I mean, I've always liked video games, but I feel like, I don't know, I didn't really have anything to do, so that was all I did over quarantine.
Yeah.
And then also I decided that I wanted to, not sit on my butt all day and play video games. So every once in a while, every 2-3 days a week, I would do something around the house to stay physical.
Yeah.
Or anything like that.
Yeah. For our listeners who are of the gaming type, what have you been playing recently, Aiden?
Call of Duty is the biggest one that I've been playing.
Yeah.
I've played Rainbow Six Siege, a lot of Battle Royale games.
It's all Greek to me. I don't know. It's a lot of words you're throwing at me right now.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you enjoy it. Yeah. I wonder, kind of getting back to like psychologically how this will impact us for years down the line. I do, from an outside perspective, I do kind of think that, yes, hopefully, I think collectively, Mckenna, I hope more people are able to, including myself, not able to, or are able to not take everything for granted, and realize that nothing's guaranteed. Yeah, excuse me.
I think it was a little bit easier whenever, we were being forced to stay inside.
Yeah.
We're not as much anymore, so it feels like maybe for some people things might be completely back to normal.
Yeah.
Or they might just be modified a little bit. But I think it was easier whenever, things really were getting canceled and people were being forced to stay inside their homes, because then it was just, you and your family.
Yeah.
And which I that was a good experience, honestly, for me. It sucked not being able to go to volleyball practices and go on the trips that we had planned for the summer. But I really enjoyed being able to stay home with my siblings and our parents and get to do things together and have, random little movie nights or family dinners like every night. So I thought that was a good experience. But now that things are starting to, get back to normal or just be modified, I think it's important to, take what we've learned from that quarantine experience and apply it.
Yeah. Also, I know I've joked about it on the podcast before, but you have turned our little home abode garage into quite the little sweatshop. Sweatshop! Get all of your cornhole, right?
Yeah.
Cornhole needs. It's a game, nothing dirty, I promise.
Yeah.
Yeah. From kind of an educational standpoint, how have you felt any changes in terms of the level of education you're receiving? Because I feel like I feel like personally, again, especially with my degree track, being very social and being very needing other people to connect with on a human level, it's definitely taken a toll on my education and kind of my level. And honestly, I can 100% say if I was not a senior, I don't know if I would have been able to go back to school, if that makes sense. Just because I would be right in the middle of my training and I would want to get the most out of everything. And so fellow friends and colleagues who have decided to take a semester or a year off, I get it. But I do know, me being a senior, being so close to being done with school, I don't know if I had left, if I would have come back. So yeah, do you guys kind of see a change in the level of education you're receiving?
Absolutely. Honestly, it's been bittersweet for me because I'm definitely like a physical learner. I need someone to be in front of me to explain things. I think better when I can hear and see other people's point of views and perspectives. It just helps me process things better than, just reading something online. I'm not a huge reader. But it's caused me to be more independent. Like, I've always been good at math, so that's easy online because they can show me how to do it once and I'll be able to do it. But in things like English, or I'm taking a literature of the Bible class, which is where we kind of break it down.
With Alsop?
Yes.
Jeremy Alsop! We love you.
We have to talk about him later because
yes,
he's so amazing.
We love him.
Anyway, but it's caused me to be more independent because I have to keep myself accountable. I don't have a teacher here telling me, McKenna, turn your assignments in, McKenna, do this, blah, 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 every single day in class. It's more online, even though I am in person. A lot more of our assignments are online. So it's caused me to be more independent because I have to read more. I honestly think in my online classes and that kind of thing, where I have more assignments online, I might even be learning more because I'm almost teaching myself.
Yeah. That does require a lot of self-discipline, though, which is not an easy thing to come by.
Nope.
Yeah.
I would be lying if I said I wasn't struggling a little bit.
That's A-okay.
Yeah.
I had online classes my senior year of high school, and they definitely... God bless Miss Floyd and Alsop. Actually, I had a mythology class with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aiden, what about you? Have you kind of seen any change in your level of education you've been receiving?
Yeah, like McKenna said, a lot of it's online, even though we're still in school.
Yeah.
But I feel like geometry has been one of the most difficult things for me because it's, even though it's just shapes, it's a lot of independent stuff. And I feel like, I don't know, it's something we have to do on our own, even though we're still in a class with a bunch of people.
Yeah. Kenna, you don't have to raise your hand. It's
Okay.
just the three of us.
Okay. And that's no diss to our teachers, us saying that we're teaching ourselves. That's nothing against them. They have to, part of their job right
it's
now
a full-on
is...
diss. It's a full... We're dropping a diss track tonight. Tonight at midnight on SoundCloud.
No. Part of their job right now is, being prepared to throw everything online at any given moment. So they have to kind of take a step back from teaching and, prepare us to go online when they can't be there for us.
Yeah.
In case school gets shut down again.
Yeah. Yeah. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Teachers are everything. Teachers are amazing, and the several amazing teachers I've had have changed my life in
Honestly,
more positive ways than I can even name right now. But yeah.
Shout out to Ozark School District because honestly, I mean, I might have had one or two bad experiences with teachers, but Ozark has such an amazing teaching staff, and I think people don't realize that enough. Like, so many of their teachers care about their job so much and care about getting to know their students no matter what circle of life they're in or who they hang out with. It means a lot because just like you, we're two very different people, but I've had such an amazing experience with teachers from Ozark, and they've definitely shaped who I am.
Yeah. So, Ozark Education, if you'd like to sponsor The Roads Less Traveled, you can find us on Facebook at The Roads Less Traveled. Or if the city of Ozark would like to sponsor us, we would be more than happy to take that on as our little group. Okay, before we shift into the next last tidbit of our Off Rhodes episodes. Ooh, it rhymes. I like it. It'll stick. It's a thing.
I'd like to go on the record and say that I came up with that.
No, you did not. You did not come up with Off Rhodes. No, you did not. Do not take credit for something you didn't do. Gosh, you see what I deal with, or what I dealt with when I lived here? Whatever, it's okay. My last, before we dive into our next little thing, any last kind of words on, being in school in the middle of this global pandemic and kind of going forward, and how do you think that, how is that affecting you? How is that gonna look?
Just for anyone listening, I would say, I know that right now is uncomfortable, but one thing that I'm often told and try to remind myself is that success is just beyond the line of comfort. And so if we can just push through...
Who said that?
Melissa, Pastor Jacob. It's just a thing that I try to carry myself with.
I love that. It sounds like a Gandhi quote.
I know, honestly. But success is just beyond the line of comfort. So if we can just push through and be uncomfortable for a little bit longer, we're gonna be okay, and things are gonna start to look up and get back to normal. So be disciplined, keep your mask on, think of others, not just yourself, and we're gonna get through it.
Yeah. And to any of your fellow classmates having parties and blatantly ignoring any and all social distancing rules, what would you say to them, both of you?
I get that, like I just keep saying over and over again, we're uncomfortable right now and we want to cover that up by hanging out with our friends like the good old days, but if maybe you could just put a hold on that for a little bit longer, or even just keep your circle a little bit smaller and, just hang out with a few people in groups that haven't been a lot of places. Just again, try to think of other people before you think of yourself, and think about having all the fun while everyone else is getting sick and all that.
Yeah. What about you, Aiden?
I mean, I don't go to a lot of parties, nor do a lot of people
What?
throw parties in my grade.
You don't go to a lot of parties?
Not a whole
That
lot.
was a joke. It's okay.
Boring!
I didn't go. Kenna, you didn't go to a lot of parties either.
Does not mean I don't get invited.
Oh, whatever. Continue, Aiden.
But with that said, the people do still need to be safe with how many people they're around and how they distance themselves.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, well, this wraps up our little segment on high school and a global pandemic. And next we can venture into our next little topic of discussion, which is very exciting for the Rhodes family. So, for those that do not know, my father's birthday is coming up. Gregory's birthday is on October 16th. A day after our mother's birthday, October 15th. And, we love Father. He actually does not listen to the podcast, which I don't have any animosity towards. I mean, he's the star of it, so he doesn't need to listen to it. He knows what he's talking about. So the fact that we're talking about this is okay because he will not hear it. But with that said, all of our listeners at home, please take this into consideration. I'm going to read a message that my mother, Christina, shared on Facebook, and we're trying to gain some traction and would love to have a lot of following behind. So here's a message from my mother. My name is Christy Rhodes. My husband is an amazing man of service and faith. He was a firefighter, and at 38, he joined the Army National Guard because he wanted to serve his country. 5 years ago, however, our lives were forever changed with his diagnosis of stage 4 prostate cancer. He was 44. Surgery was not an option. It is terminal, no cure, but it can be treated. He had to give up both jobs that he loved and medically retire. The 5-year survival rate was less than 20%. He has done several treatments and is currently on chemotherapy to try and keep things from progressing. It has now been 5 years since he was diagnosed, and he's still here. This is huge. His doctors never imagined that he would still be here 5 years later. With all of that said, my husband turns 50 on October 16th, 2020, a birthday he never thought he would see or get to celebrate. I would love to do something amazing for him. I would love to flood our mailbox with inspiring messages and prove to him it has all been worth it. This fight has taken its toll on him, physically, mentally, spiritually. Not just him, but all of us. Hoping you can help make this day extra special. I have rented a P.O. box to receive cards and letters. I will be keeping the box for 6 months, so feel free to send even if it's past his birthday. The address for the P.O. box that you can send Gregory any kind of little card, note, message, whatever you want. The address is 1450 West Jackson Street, number 1808 in Ozark, Missouri, 65721-9998. God bless, Christina Rhodes. So, yeah, we are wanting to surprise our dad with a bunch of cards, letters, anything under the sun, messages of encouragement and love, and show him how many people are out there supporting him, care about him, and want to see him get so much better. So now we just pass the torch to you, our fellow podcast listeners, asking if you are able to just send a small little message and tell him you're thinking about him. It would be very appreciated, and we would be forever grateful from the bottom of our hearts. So yeah, this was a great first Off Rhodes episode. Thank you guys both for joining me.
I'll be back.
Okay. We'll see how this episode does. We'll see what the Yelp reviews are for your commentary. But before we leave, we do like to end on a high note of some sort. So what is something you're thankful for this week, or something you got coming up that you're excited about?
Ooh, I am thankful for my volleyball team. We are about halfway through the season. We're doing really well so far. We've got a big game coming up on Tuesday. We had 2 games last week. We won. But, we're starting to roll in and working hard. All the girls have gotten really close, and it's just a blessing and an honor to play with them and, lead them as a senior. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a blast. So
Yeah.
I'm super thankful for them.
That's awesome.
Ozark has officially opened up its first and ever archery team, which
What?
Yes.
Wait, with like real arrows? With
No,
like
Declan, with
pointy-
feathers.
Okay, Aiden, the sass is not needed.
I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good. Keep it going.
Anyway,
Okay.
I am a proud member of that archery team, and I'm just glad it's finally a thing now. I've been wanting to do archery competitively with our school for quite a while now.
Yeah,
gosh.
you've been talking about it for a while, so I'm glad they finally added a team.
Wow. Do you have the archery merit badge?
Yeah.
Oh. Fun little fact, that
It's
is the one merit badge that I started and never finished.
It was the first merit badge I got.
I'm glad you got
Well,
that.
the first series.
Yeah. Wow, that's so cool that Ozark does that. You're gonna be a little Hawkeye?
Yeah.
Gonna be a little Katniss Everdeen?
Just
Gonna be a little who else shoots arrows?
Green Arrow.
Green Arrow? That's okay, that's not the same as like Green Lantern, right?
No.
Okay. Why are you both shaking your heads at me? Like I
Because
just murdered a cat. Okay, thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this first episode of many of Off Rhodes episodes. Yes. Wow, it's like the 5th time I'm saying it and I messed it up.
Yeah.
Are we surprised?
Don't ever mess up my slogan like that.
It's not your slogan. You did not create it. It was a collaborative thing that, I think you could argue many voices came together to create. Maybe you mentioned an off, like the word off. But I think like putting the Off Rhodes together was ultimately, kind of like mine doing.
Oh.
Okay. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on the Roads Less Traveled. We love you, God bless you, and we cannot wait to hear back from or do another episode for you. So yeah, thank you guys so much. We love you. Say bye.
Bye.
Snap.